Everybody, this is Jonathan Nez, president of the Navajo Nation, coming to you today, Thursday, July 2nd, for the town hall meeting, Office of President, Vice President. So we're going to turn some time over for prayer, and I'll go ahead and do the prayer for our nation. And good morning to everybody. Aro also na anet banatligido beton londo le also yet keni na nebki ka keda hatinigido le belgan bikay at the keda hatinigi edo what's the deals and diche the kudi kon the kostensragi nas edzat the achshloit ini the gadi the dinasnigido naha nachikudi listo aita kon naha in la ba needs and the kwishin kudo ni keni na Sodadel Zendo, the Nasnigi, Nachi Kudi Lish, Dano, Jogata A Sodadel Zen, Aro Ishi Ben Nachikon, Naha in La Joyakon, Ninde, Ashia Quichikon, the Mascadat Aggie, and he cheat on his Ahud, Kidastito Lefty, Tradi Kao. Aro yigo yeltke hatnenigi jo ina antinigi kodon hije kodalia aro nikilla do tala woshbet khada kisa nenigi do haganden da sot khatno hanenigi hije kodalia hanne agi shi kodo yego da iltra agi do nat eindan nenigi shi abazin ye kodo hanne biche kwinda aro ben nachikon hikeni hinne biche ashtanen daily shidi yeniot Ako ben natch da is nog sta dat die no het aan dat niet. Aro kujido isto le the forest at Ninigi. Jo ad forest fire each hadil kla ad edo agent dad nashida bkidin do lashidi yot aje nakhandad nashigi ado kujido Health Command Operations Synergy Nashni. Ikidades Adon de Kahagido, Zel Indam Denigido, Edo, Baholiando Leshdi in Yod Ado Kon Nat Ani Dan Lenigi, Kudo Ashina Vice President Myron Lizer, Ado Shdo, Quiche, so this is Nikani in Napa. Ado inash inigido and fashion but so kid could ya but so deals lana badanits and out shidi yot arts on spells aron he beshmas and linigido asa season do big baby inash inigido action so kid and linigido but so deals inash nigido queen essentially yot Nache Kodo banana shadek indo left Niki Kenny Napa. Aron le Washington the Nat Ani the Has Tranigido Edo banana shadek beach Edo bikin indo left Ara Kondo Katnazal and Lini Benanta Kiyaki that is Ingido the Daketa Ikida des Ingi Nat Ein and Lingi Kujida Ultra. Benat Ani dan Lenigido Edo Batsodils and the Jeffro Adian Bizarro Abakaya Ginat Ani Batsodils and no hot outside Isuja the in Bizarna Conda Artro do Tsodils and Nigishi Artro Kon Ginat Ani Batsodils Jo hot the Nenitl Aro Benacha and Gitzilo Naste Nika Ako the Konas Negido, Kojahodil Klagishi, Ndishni, in your day, each eddy crapini Nagi, Kodon Hikidin Onaha Halia, Hehla, bed, Benihit do left, ni Jesus Christ Benacha, what nas, Dani Krato, Arts Hoshinkon, Hikeni Hidden, Sashin Dalzadota, Sashin ya. Shidol na on the beach at the Shaltans and a co. Kodoye, you must son you chain in Nalanastas, Lengi Bans, they kissed of it. Even in Aroch and they cray the more when I do the more Yajiguna Då ska jag donda anishta shindo leto. Shmode kodo hikeni nabja hadith seshri garion e bejay bedilchil ahagan the hast khado lefti the more gonna do the more yajud gonna do the more gonna dinasnegi e do kwa yego de do kilta shri gadget or the e dago de deskit I should be not condemned naslado netbehas art so ein hitche the dead each in yod so Jesus Christ even that out edolach amen amen. So I did a prayer in Navajo. Those of you that don't understand Navajo, prayer is always in the forefront of the things that we do here on the Navajo Nation. We still have prayer in our government. We still have prayer in our schools. Off the Navajo Nation, I don't think many people still have prayer in government meetings, but here in tribal communities throughout the country, we still start out with prayer. We are a spiritual being, and we look to our higher power for guidance, direction, strength, and good health. So I'm just going to jump right into the English part of the presentation. Jonathan Nez, Navajo Nation President. Salt Clan, mom's Salt Clan, dad is Tingle people. And Shindo Katnesa ne Twitchi, that's Chido Tachi, that's another for our Navajo relatives out there. I know we are told to always identify ourselves and let people know our relations to others. So my relatives, our people out there, greetings and good morning. Just a quick update on the report on COVID. Every day we get updates, and the professionals out there crunching numbers, if you want to call it that, putting all the data together and giving that report to leadership. And I appreciate the team, the Health Command Operations Center, Dr. Jill Jim, David Nez, Incident Commander, and the many section chiefs and the many personnel. We have two emergencies here on the Navajo Nation. We got the public health emergency, and as you know, we have the fire, the Wood Springs 2 wildfire up on the ridge close above Sawmill, and we'll give you an update there. We got presentations that are going to happen today with multiple presenters. So jumping right into the COVID-19 cases. As always, we give you an update. I know it may be a type of gloom and doom type of report, but this is facts, data driven. That's how we make our decisions, and we just want you to be informed. I know people might say, well, why do you keep giving us these numbers? And it's sad, but we just want to be transparent to the Navajo people. So the tests that have been given, 56,599 tests have been done throughout the Navajo Nation. And that's over 25% of our total population here on the Navajo Nation that have been tested. Again, more than any other state throughout this country, more than majority of the countries throughout the world. So we're aggressively testing our Navajo people. And excuse me, the negative test, 45,271 have tested negative. 7,613 have tested positive, and that was an increase by 64 from the previous day to yesterday, 64 positive cases. And the recovery numbers, all 12 health care facilities have sent their updates to us. 5,455 have recovered from COVID-19. So subtract that from 7,613, and also the pending tests that are out there give you a real accurate number of the infection rate here on the Navajo Nation. And our hearts and our prayers go out to the 369 families who've lost loved ones. 369 Navajo people have lost their lives to COVID-19. And, we are wanting to really up the campaign in not letting down, right? Don't give up. Don't let down. These numbers, yes, they're going down, but we also need to continue to do the things that we have been doing for the past few months. Wear our masks, social distancing, washing our hands with soap and water. And there's 4 actually. And what's the 4th one? I sound like a broken record, but it is key to eradicating this virus here on Navajo, and that's to stay home. Stay home, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to bring up some charts. And I know everybody knows by now that we have placed some public health orders. We extended the government closure to July 26th. We were supposed to reopen July 6th, this coming Monday, but we extended it for 3 more weeks. We also, 2 weeks ago, we reinstated the 57-hour weekend lockdown, and we're going to be doing that for the next 3 weeks, all the way up to July 26th as well. So it'll be done for this weekend, 4th of July weekend. I know everybody wanted to go and visit and go out and celebrate. You all have been doing great in staying home. I know Mother's Day, Father's Day, and many other social events where we're not able to do it, watch our graduates graduate. But as I indicated the numbers, we can't let down. We got to continue to fight this monster called COVID-19. And the tools, the weapons are being given to you. And that's the recommendations, right? The public health orders. Now, those are weapons to combat this monster. And let's take on those weapons to fight hard. And you're doing a great job, Navajo people. All the partners that are helping the Navajo Nation, thank you so much. There are people donating. There are people out there helping the Navajo Nation through this pandemic. We're all doing this together to help, get COVID-19 off our nation. The daily curfews are going to be from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. That continues on. Well, there's going to be a reaffirmation of the shelter-in-place, stay-at-home order, and that's going to continue. That means there shouldn't be that much traffic. Only essential workers during the weekday. That's Monday through Friday. And yes, you can go get your essential supplies. Go to the supermarket, and it shouldn't be with the whole family. It should be just one person, and to have their mask, if they have gloves, hand sanitizers. There's even hand washing stations on the Navajo Nation at the bashes and the supermarkets. But if you go off the Navajo Nation, I don't know if they have that, because I haven't been off the Navajo Nation to these supermarkets. But you need to abide by these public health orders here on the Navajo Nation. If you're on the Navajo Nation, please abide by it. If those of you that are living somewhere else, abide by those local jurisdictions, laws and regulations. But let me just say, they don't have to force you to wear a mask out there. You can voluntarily wear a mask. All our relatives. We have 350,000 Navajos throughout the world. Half of those live on the Navajo Nation. And on the Navajo Nation, we're mandating you wear a mask in public. So you should be wearing masks. But off the Navajo Nation, not many jurisdictions do that. They don't require you to wear a mask in public. But you know what? You can voluntarily wear a mask. Follow these same protocols we're doing. It doesn't have to be Navajo. It could be anybody out there. And I see cities and municipalities out there, finally passing ordinances to mandate their people, their citizens, to wear masks, which is great, awesome. I wish the state of Arizona would do that. I wish the state of Utah would do that. But, that's jurisdiction outside of the Navajo Nation. But here on the Navajo Nation, as your president, our focus is on the health and well-being of each and every one of you. Those of you that are living off the Navajo Nation, Navajo relatives, now's not the time to come home. But take on these recommendations, these mandates. And you can do that with your family, wearing a mask at home, social distancing. And I know many of you have commented saying that you're doing that at home, washing your hands with soap and water and staying home. You could see high rates of cases all around us, ladies and gentlemen. And it's starting to, creep in here to the Navajo Nation. We just got an update this morning from the epidemiology team, the Unified Epidemiology Team, which the presenter was Dr. Baugh, And as I said, we are data-driven. We make our decisions based on data. I know that our Tuesday town hall, we gave you charts to let you know what the Navajo Nation is going to do in terms of extending the government closure and also extending the weekend curfew. And many of you may be saying, well, why are you doing that when our numbers are going down? And they're flattening out and they're going down. It's because of what's happening around us. So Eli, if you could put that chart up, maybe I'll move a little bit this way. I hate to have the slide cover the Navajo flag, but Eli, if you could put that chart up, the first slide, just to let you know why we based our decision the way we did. Are we ready with that chart? That slide, and if I could just maybe use my phone to bring up the first.
The slide's up, sir.
Okay, the slide is up. I can't see it on my on the WebEx, but if you see the slide there, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe it's the slide with the is it the where it says the 14-day downward trajectory? Eli? Yeah, technology.
Sir.
Today I'm at home. I was on so many conference calls this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there we go. And I wasn't able to quickly get to the office. And so I was able to log on here at home. So if you look at the chart there, you could see how throughout this pandemic, the cases increased up. And it looks like a mountain, right? And those are the two peaks of COVID positive now. Now, this is COVID positive data. So here it says that we are going on a downward trend. Now, if you see towards the end of that chart, you see the past several days, 14 days, and it's starting to go up. And this includes the border town numbers. Remember, Winslow Service Unit, Gallup Service Unit, you got NACA in Flagstaff, right? Native American Community Action. Also, you got Utah Navajo Health Systems. And why we're including those numbers is because those are Navajo citizens that live off the Navajo Nation. Now, what I just mentioned earlier to you, the data of the 56,000 tests, those were tests that of our Navajo residents that actually happen. That actually live here on the Navajo Nation lands. So the chart that you're seeing here includes border town Navajo citizens. And you can see there's beginning to be a upward trend in cases. And so what we're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen, by the extension of the closure and weekend curfews, is that we don't want another spike, a big spike like we had in May. And we all need to, let everybody know it's up to us as Navajos to, give this information to our people, especially, those that don't live here on the Navajo Nation. And that's why I say I beg you, Navajo. I know I hear it all the time. I know that people say, as a Navajo citizen, you cannot force me to stay off the nation, but you can voluntarily, for the health and well-being of your relatives, just hunker down where you're at, off the Navajo Nation. You're living out there already, and you're working or going to school. Now is not the time to come home. You see high rates of cases here. Now, Eli, if you could put the next slide up. The next slide here indicates, 2 days ago on Thursday, we had an update, similar charts, but this is updated as of this morning. But if you look at the various states, you can see the concern here for all of us. You can see, based on all these states in or around us, you could see the upward trend of COVID positive cases. And remember, on Tuesday, when we did the report, Navajo Nation was yellow. Now it's red, and it's beginning to be a concern. But I'm not trying to scare you, everybody. You're doing a great job. These are including numbers that have been going. It's great to have numbers at zero, right? That's what our goal is. But for the past 2 weeks and beyond, we have had numbers under 100. And that's good news. That's positive news. But there's still positive cases. I think 5 days ago, there was one big jump of 121 cases. But all I think 15, 16 days other than that day were under 100. So what you're doing at home is working. What we're doing together is working. Wearing our masks, social distancing, staying home. And that's why the decision was made to, extend our government closure, as well as the weekend curfews. And there's going to be traffic through the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. And I keep telling everyone that we have limited resources here on the now more so than ever because of the fire. A lot of public safety personnel, police officers and rangers, are going to have to go to the fire to help out. And so, ladies and gentlemen, don't go sightseeing up towards the fire. The people up there are helping and doing the best they can. The reason why President and Vice President go over there is we give you a report so that you know firsthand what's going on up there, because that's information and that's transparency. Now, don't go up there. Police officers out there. Routes are closed. Route 7 is closed. The route from Fluted Rock to Noslini is closed as well. We have fire personnel that are working this fire, and this is a priority for the Navajo Nation. So some of our personnel are going to have to be taken off the Health Command Operations Center and the public health emergency to help out with the fire. So this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, please don't take advantage of our police officers during the weekend, knowing that, oh, well, police are not going to be out. I'm going to go ahead and drive around on the weekend. It's a 57-hour curfew, please, ladies and gentlemen, stay home. On the New Mexico side, you know, the National Guard, the MPs, military police will be helping out in Shiprock, Crown Point, and the New Mexico communities at these checkpoints. On the Arizona side, both Arizona and New Mexico, also, they're going to be the county sheriffs coming. Yeah, I know we're a sovereign nation, yes, but we just need some help at this time, especially during this high traffic season and weekend, this high traffic weekend, 4th of July weekend, right? People are going to be going. And those of you that are living in Page, I want to encourage you, please don't go to the city of Page for anything right now, because that place is going to be packed because of visitors. And I don't know if they're going to be wearing masks. You know, maybe the city of Page needs to incorporate an ordinance to mandate everybody to wear masks. Masks do save lives. Studies and reports have indicated that. And why people don't incorporate that is just, I don't know. I just don't understand. I mean, we started wearing a mask back in March and April, right? April is when we mandated everybody to wear masks. And that's the reason why we have a flattening of the curve and a downward trend here on the Navajo Nation. And so back to the presentation, you know, are we really on a 14-day downward trajectory? We were going to open back up on July 6th, right? Based on the doctors and the healthcare professionals, they said, you know what? It's going to be premature to open the Navajo Nation government, the Navajo Nation, because of what's happening around us. And so that's why. So we're all based on data. So the next chart there, the next slide, we want to talk a little bit more about that as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we plead with you. Our leaders plead with you. 4th of July weekend, a busy time. People are going to be going through our Navajo Nation. The sheriff's departments are going to be out at these checkpoints telling our visitors that there is nothing open, no businesses, no fast food, restaurants, no gas pumps. So if you're traveling through the Navajo Nation, you need to gas up, get your food, and make your way through the Navajo Nation. You know, and we love you, visitors. Don't get us wrong. We're just protecting our people, and we're protecting you as well. You know, we don't want you to get the virus, and vice versa. And so this is a sovereign nation. Please abide by our policies, laws, and regulations here on the Navajo Nation. All our tourism destinations are closed. Our points of interest are closed. So, you know, don't even try to make your way to these areas, because there's going to be, Navajo Rangers there that will tell you that to turn around. You know, we're taking a big hit here our visitors. Let me talk to our visitors here. We're taking a big hit economically. We rely a lot on our tourism, and this is tourism season right now. And we appreciate you wanting to come up to the Navajo Nation, yes, but now is not the time to visit our nation. There are other times that you can come back once the virus goes away. Hopefully it goes away, right? What we're trying to do here as president and vice president is to protect our citizens. I mean, every governor out there, every mayor, and all the way up to the White House is trying to do the same. And we're just, as a sovereign nation, we're protecting our Navajo people. And so we just ask you to respect and honor our laws here on the Navajo Nation. So thank you. The next chart, or the next slide, should indicate a little bit more data for you to review. You know, as I see, let me put this up. This is the this here is what's happening here on the Navajo Nation. And if you could see this this part here, this is the start, and they're going up, and we're flattening out, and now we're going down. You know, you saw this little increase here in Winslow service area. And I just got a report today that some of our employees there in Winslow are testing positive for the virus. And so we can see that what they're doing is isolating or putting people in quarantine, and the flattening has begun there once again. So they're mobilizing quickly. So I understand that Coconino County had one of its biggest COVID positive cases in one day this past week. And I encourage you not to, to be in those hotspot areas. Now, we have a travel advisory for all Navajo citizens. So now's the time just to stay home. If you need to go to supermarkets, go over there one at a time, and make that your duty, young people, to help out our elders by helping them with their supplies. So that's an update on COVID right now. I just want to give you an update on Eli. Do we have that chart? The next chart. I'm sorry, I don't. I should have kept copies of it on my computer here. But if you can pop up that next slide, we are in the process of vetting the legislations that have been passed by the council. And there's a lot of amendments to 116-20. Ladies and gentlemen, you had influence on that legislation to get that passed, and you made comments to the council delegates to pass this bill and to move forward on an expenditure plan for the $600 million. And so the chart there shows the recommendations of the office of the president and vice president. Of course, we're going to be sitting down with the other two branches of government. That's the Speaker of the Navajo Nation Council and also the Chief Justice, Joanne Jane. 116-20 passed the council, and it's before us for execution. But what we recommended was actually changed up. There was supposed to be $50.5 million for immediate expenditure for, hazard pay for our first responders, buying some personnel protection equipment for people and getting food packages for those COVID positive families. Also cleaning out chapter houses and government facilities like senior citizen centers. That all changed. Those were taken out of the bill. And so it's in a separate bill now, but this 116 was supposed to develop the fund, the CARES Act fund for the Navajo Nation. That should set the tone for the expenditure plan, but yet it was taken out. And I guess that could be, maybe that was a good thing that we extended our closure, because we don't have the dollars right now to, put plexiglasses in our government facility, clean them out, because all of it was in 116-20. Now there's a separate bill that says, hazard pay and PPEs and all that on there, but it's inflated from 50 million to now close to $100 million. And so that takes away from what our recommendation is, right? This Nez Leiser administration, we mentioned this to the council members. This is what we feel based on the conversations that we had during the campaign and based on even the other funds that come in, that the Navajo people want running water. The expenditure that we thought could be incorporated is $300 million of the $600 million to be put into, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. $600 million, but we also have an additional $113 million. So altogether, a little bit over $713 million of CARES Act fund, right? 60% of the $8 billion from the CARES Act that went to tribes, 60% of that was given to the tribes back a month ago. And our share of that 60% was $600 million. And so a week ago, we barely received the additional 40% of the CARES Act fund. And that equates for us in Navajo another $113 million. So $600 million, 60%, and then 40% of $113 million kind of doesn't make sense, does it? You know what they did? They hold some of those monies, and the federal government determined that a big portion of that $8 billion should go to the Alaska Native corporations. And these are for-profit corporations. They're not governments. And we are definitely opposed to that. And we're going to continue to fight that, because it should go out to all the 574 tribes in the United States of America. But the way it looks, a big big majority of these dollars are going to go to Alaska. So that takes away from the tribes in the lower 48, which is not equitable. And so we're going to fight in court to make sure that those dollars go to Indian country and Indian governments. But back to the $713 million. The $713 million is what we're proposing here for our expenditure. And these projects are being vetted by our team right now. And the council is also talking about these projects. Right now, the way it is, we got to spend these monies before December 31st, but we did send information to Congress, congressional delegation, White House, saying that we need an extension. 40% doesn't have any deadline. 60% has to have an extension. And so what we're trying to do here is to to let our congressional delegation know that any future legislation should include a extension beyond December 31st. So Congressman Deb Haaland or Congressman O'Halloran, Assistant Speaker Lujan, all of our senators, and they're know what Indian tribes are asking for. It's just not Navajo. We need extension for all tribes throughout the country. So $713 million. If you look at the chart there, expenditure of $300 million for water infrastructure and agriculture projects. Adequate plumbing of Navajo homes are necessary to provide clean water. As you know, 30 to 40% of our Navajo people don't have running water. We're in the process of getting the Navajo-Utah Water Rights Settlement Act. That's separate from what we're talking about here, but that could bring needed water into the Utah Navajo area, Navajo-Utah area. A little bit about that act. It passed the Senate. It's going through the House, and we're encouraging Assistant Speaker and Representative or Chairman Grijalva and many of our leadership there to get this legislation across the finish line. Agriculture, well, water. We all know we need water immediately for this pandemic and any future pandemics, that any bug or viruses that come into our nation, running water. The other is agriculture projects. Right now we're in a drought. We need water for our livestock. Not many people off the nation, non-natives, don't understand how important livestock are to the Navajo people and tribes throughout the country. You know, when we haul water, first thing we do is we give it to our animals. And then whatever is left, we use that to drink. And sometimes there's nothing left over for hygiene. So it's important that we get running water for our people, agriculture. And farms, we found out that we don't have enough farms to feed our people. You know, we've been talking about this for a long time. We need to get water for doing farms here on the Navajo Nation. And so 300 million out of the 713 million would go to water infrastructure and agricultural projects. $150 million would go to power line and solar infrastructure. We found out, as we always find out in emergencies, you know, that people that have in that vulnerable population category, they get medicine and they need that medicine to be refrigerated. And if you don't have electricity, then you don't have a refrigerator at home. So the patients have to go every so often to the hospital to pick up their meds, and gives them a higher chance of catching the virus if they're out in public, right? Of course, solar brings telecommunication and information out to the citizens easier. And, you know, the quality of life improves. And so $150 million for power line and solar infrastructure. The expenditure for $50 million would be for broadband and telecommunication. You all know, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't have the best internet, high-speed internet, even cell service here on the Navajo Nation. And so we want to focus more on improving telecommunication and broadband here on the Navajo Nation, so we can get that information out. Our students are online, right? And who knows what's going to happen in the future? We don't know. If schools are going to be done at home, homeschooling, so they're going to have to get on the internet. Right now, there's these places throughout the Navajo Nation where students go to log on to their classes to turn in their homework. So they're traveling. And here we're telling people to stay home. You know, we want our students to get their education right at home, because the safest place to be is at home. And we want to put $50 million for that. $50 million for scholarships. What we found out is we need more healthcare professionals, epidemiologists, really. Now, don't get me wrong. We appreciate the non-Navajos, our friends, helping us out during this time. But I think everybody would agree that we want to grow our own, meaning that we want Navajo people to be in these positions. I know a lot of our Navajo people are working off the Navajo Nation now that are in the healthcare profession, and we got to bring them home too. And we did propose a $50 million scholarship and a loan repayment option, but didn't pass the council. So here's another opportunity, because I'm not going to give up for our Navajo people and Navajo students on scholarships. But this would be focused on healthcare professionals. And we have reported that about a little bit over 200 officers here on the Navajo Nation. So there should be a focus scholarship for law enforcement as well during this time. And it all equates to COVID-19, all of this. And then we want to put $60 million aside for Navajo businesses and promote economic development. As I announced, Vice President will be chairing the Navajo Nation Economic Recovery team, and his background in business for many decades is a plus for the Navajo people. And, he has an insight on what is needed, not just a recovery, but even a boost in businesses here on the Navajo Nation, right? A lot of regulations need to be changed. Federal regulations, federal laws, including Navajo Nation laws and regulation. I'll come back to that in a bit. $20 million would be put aside for housing infrastructure. I know that some would say $20 million is not enough. Yeah, I agree. But that would help build housing manufacturing facilities here on the Navajo Nation. We're looking at Tuba City, where the old housing services used to be. That old tin building that is ready for demolition, right by the Diné College. If you build a housing manufacturing facility right next to Diné College, you could see emphasis on trade classes, electricity, plumbing, carpentry, all those trades. We forgot about trades, trade schools, trade professions. That's what builds a nation. And that would be our emphasis on housing right now. And not just these big housing, like 5-bedroom, 2-car garage. No, we're talking about just a simple octagon for our young families, our elders, our veterans, to get them a place for themselves. And many of them said, I'll be content. I'm okay with having a one studio hogan. And young families, that could be their starter home too as well. And then we also want the remaining amount, and based on what we do with legislation 116, we're reevaluating all those changes, because, like I said, this was based on a $50 million immediate expenditure. Now, with the new bill, it's $90 million. So there's going to be some dollars there that's going to be going over what we're recommending here. So that's why we said expend the remaining amount for additional chapter projects. That's like bathroom additions, electrical hookups, right? Some of you I get a lot of requests. I only live 1 mile, half a mile from the electricity. I just need it to come to my home. Those projects should be also eligible for CARES Act funding. And then whatever we all decide with the remaining amount to go to other categories, right? There's a lot of categories, a lot of needs. I know we didn't cover it all, but these we feel are the major categories that will touch the lives of every single Navajo citizen. Rather than getting a per capita, this type of plan would improve the quality of life and really boost the Navajo Nation economy for the future. If we get per capita, the money's gone. And guess what? It's going to flow right off the Navajo Nation in a heartbeat. And we don't want to make millionaires again. $713 million out there. And I guess that's probably what people are going to be eyeing us on. And so it has to be strategic. It has to be comprehensive. It can't just be a piecemeal approach. And that's what we're fighting for you, Navajo people. And I know everybody wants the monies to be spent right away. There's got to be a plan. And how is it going to reach and touch every citizen as much as we can, every citizen of this nation? And that's the category that we present to you today. Those categories, ladies and gentlemen. And so you can bring up the next slide. I'm sorry, there's the next, next slide, Eli. And I'll end with this. These projects, $713 million, can do a lot to improving the quality of life, to getting us closer to getting into the 21st century. But if you have the same laws and regulations still there, it's going to be tough. And I know the Navajo people said, hey, President, Vice President, you need to change some laws there in Windarong. You need to change some laws up there in federal government. Oh, kayu na behazani hala sagahod zam de Washington. So we developed a team here on Navajo, and we did a white paper. And we put all this information into the white paper. First, we said, what federal regulations need to be changed? What federal laws need to be changed? Home site leasing, business site leasing, right? That's a lot of time. Right-of-way issues. You know, the President of the United States did an executive order delegating certain authorities to his secretaries. That's like our cabinet members, right? Like our division directors. I have division directors. That's our cabinet with the Vice President. President of the United States have his cabinet members. Those are called secretaries. Secretary of Interior, Secretary of Treasury, you know, those individuals. And he picks those people. We pick our division directors. So just the same, we have developed a white paper, and this is one page of that white paper, to recommend to our congressional delegation, White House, and others there in leadership that we need some laws changed. If you're going to waive laws to build a wall, the Mexico and U.S. border, then why can't you do the same for Indian country so that we can get economic and community development done quickly? And so our team, I know many people have said, what are you guys doing? You're not doing anything. You know, these are things that are happening behind the scenes, and these letters are being sent so that we can expend the $713 million quickly. If we don't change some of these laws, we're going to be still in the same boat, ladies and gentlemen. And so this white paper has gone to those individuals that were listed on that previous slide. And so for Department of Interior, the BIA, these are the things that we want streamlined. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, we need to reevaluate some of these environmental policies that take a long time. Those of you that are watching that are chapter officials understand. Those of you that always are at the chapter meetings saying to your chapter officials, how come things are not moving? How come you're just approving another resolution for environmental assessment, environmental clearances, right-of-ways, yada, la, right? That's what a lot of people say. I used to say that myself. See, these are the things those resolutions are asking us to comply with. So we have to do that every time, every year for a new project. And we know that laws can be changed, policies and regulations can be changed. Why can't we change those policies? That's what we're doing with this white paper. Rather than utilizing the old regulations and policy, let's go and ask Washington, D.C. to reevaluate these regulations and policies so that economic and community development can happen a lot quicker here on the Navajo Nation. Now's the time to do it. U.S. citizens that are out there, thank you so much for contacting your congressman, your representative, your senators, and letting them know that they should honor the treaties for tribes and they should make these types of changes. Many of our visitors, our friends of the Navajo Nation out there, have asked us, how can we help? I guess the first reaction for us is, okay, more food, more cleaning supplies, right? But what I've been saying now is contact your congressman. Contact those lawmakers in Washington, D.C., all across the country. Contact them and let them know that the Navajo Nation is wanting to catch up with the rest of the U.S. citizens in the 50 states. And by doing these changes, that will get us up at least into the 21st century. And we're in 2020, 20 years into the 21st century. And people have said, man, President, I didn't realize that the tribes are living in these types of conditions in the most powerful nation in the world. First Nations people, indigenous people, still are at the bottom of the totem pole. And no pun intended, right? So ladies and gentlemen that are watching us today, contact your congressman, contact your leaders out there, and tell them that the Navajo Nation has given a white paper to you. Let's change some policies and laws, federal regulations, so that we can get economic and community development done quickly. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Those of you that are going to contact your congressmen and your senators, you're not just only helping the Navajo Nation, you're also helping the other 573 tribes throughout this country. Because everything that's done in Washington, D.C. in terms of federal regulations affects tribes. Our land, this is trust land. Our land is compared to every federal land throughout the United States. And that's why it's hard to get things developed. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I know I spoke again a long time. There's a lot of information, my people. I know some of you are saying, get off. Where's the other presenters? And I know you want to hear more about the fire as well. But, people are questioning us. Why? Stop bickering. Stop fighting with the council. And I just explained to you, we're protecting your money, Navajo people. It's not a spending spree. It's about what can really enhance and improve the quality of life for our Navajo citizens. And that's what you elected me and Vice President Myron Lizer to do, to hold our leaders accountable. You hold your leaders accountable, and we want these monies to be spent, not to be returned, because it's not COVID-19 related. That's what this comprehensive plan will do, ladies and gentlemen. And lastly, I'm going to transition to the Vice President. With the fire up there, Vice President and I were out there, really just encouraging our firefighters, trying to get them some supplies, but there's so much more protocol there with this COVID-19 happening. I know a lot of you wanted to donate to our firefighters. We're going to find an updated protocol. You can't just go over there and give them food now, right, because of this pandemic. And that's what we found out. We brought some food for them, and then they said that we can't accept it because of COVID-19, which is understandable. And so we're going to take the food probably to the command center, and then they can disinfect it or whatever they need to do, and then give it out to the firefighters if that is something that they can do. So again, many of you want to give to the firefighters. We'll get you an update on the protocol of that, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, with the winds dying down, it's cold out there. You know what? This cold weather is what really helps in the fire containment efforts. And as of today, 10,000 964 acres have burned. That's a lot from when it started Friday, Saturday. And those high winds Saturday, Sunday, Monday, man, it just made this fire take off. And now we're at 10,964 acres. And we're going to get a report from the PIO from the Southwest Incident Team. 5% contained, which is good news. 5%. It was 0% for the past few days. Now it's 5%. As we saw yesterday, the firefighters are doing an outstanding job. Those that I can remember: Globe Hot Shot crew, Prescott Hot Shot crew, our own Navajo Scouts Hot Shot crew, as well as Zuni Hot Shot crew, Mount Taylor Hot Shot crew. There's many others out there. Of course, our own Navajo Nation Fish and Wildlife are out there, natural resources, our animal control, our Navajo Nation Fire Department, BIA, all these resources coming to battle this fire. On behalf of the Navajo people, all of you, I'm sorry I didn't mention all of you. There's just so many out there. So many people, over 300 personnel, I heard last update. Thank you so much on behalf of Navajo people for battling this fire. We pray for you. We'll continue to pray for you. Let's pray for our firefighters, our personnel out there battling this fire. And we'll continue to give you updates on that. Again, 10,964 acres have burned and 5% containment. That's the news that I got this morning. There's going to be, thank you for the prayers, there's going to be 25% chance of rain this weekend. So let's pray and let's up that. God can answer our prayers. 25, let's get it all the way up to 100%, ladies and gentlemen, because that's what's needed, not just for this fire, but for this, drought that's happening here on the Navajo Nation. Let's pray for rain. God bless you. God bless our great Navajo Nation. This is Jonathan as your president. I'm going to turn the time over to our vice president of the great Navajo Nation, Myron Lizer.
It's good to be with you this morning. Vice President Myron Lizer here, and I appreciate President and his leadership. He's right. We were out there at the Wood Springs 2 fire, receiving updates, and it was great to be up there and encourage the firefighters and getting timely updates. So, and what a great segue. President mentioned prayer, and let's all pray for rain. What if we all just prayed for rain, right? I mean, just all instinctively, all in their own way, in their own language, just pray for rain. The whole nation. What would happen? How can we get heaven to act for us? And so we prayed for rain yesterday as we were driving, playing some music there. Let it rain, Lord. Let it rain. And so we appreciate President and the ability for us to be able to collaborate with one another and go and talk to our personnel that's in charge of this fire. So he did mention all of those things. We want to give shout outs to the Prescott Hot Shots, the Globe Hot Shots, Zuni Hot Shots, the Navajo Hot Shots, our own Navajo Hot Shots, Mount Taylor Hot Shots. And we have a lot of firefighters up there, 330 to be exact, fighting this fire. And so we appreciate them all coming out. President and I did thank them and wanted to give them some goodies, but they weren't allowed to have them. So we understand that. So we'll look for other ways to pass along our good thoughts from our people and our thankfulness and our gratefulness. So, but President also mentioned earlier economic recovery. We feel we can open up and recover safely. So what does ours look like? The Senate voted Tuesday evening to extend the Paycheck Protection Federal Loan Program, the PPP as we all know it. And we have 5 additional weeks here to work that. And so this move would allow small businesses to weather this pandemic. So if you are a small business owner and you haven't taken advantage of this program, please do so. There's still time. There's still time to do that. And if you need additional information on this here, please contact our Navajo Department of Economic Development over there, who's readily able to assist you and answer your questions. What we found out too, as many buying centers, I call them buying centers, the metropolitan areas around our states in Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico, as they began to loosen restrictions and open up their economies, we saw differing degrees of adherence to health measures. Subsequently, we saw our surrounding states spike. They started spiking, and these people, and our people, we readily travel to these very same sites too, and so we don't want them to contract this virus out there and then bring it back to our nation here. And so we are really just advocating for our own economy to really be well thought out and to play it safe. We've extended our government closure up to July 27th. The President and I Tuesday signed executive order extending that. Another round of 57-hour weekend curfews. So stay home. Wear your masks. Consistently sanitize or wash your hands. Sanitize common handles. Clean and sanitize your home regularly. And so let's protect our elders. And let's protect our most vulnerable population. And that's really what it's all about. And I've said it before, the best expression of love is to wear a mask, right? Not for yourself. I know there's a big what to do about personal responsibility and the mask wearing, and people feel like government shouldn't dictate and, tell them what to do. But, it's really for the love of your fellow neighbor is why we need to wear our masks. And it's well documented that the mask will keep our population safe, right? It will keep our population safe. Phoenix and Arizona reinstilling the wearing masks in public places and social distancing. So these are all documented and they all proven that they work. So let's stay safe here on our nation. Yesterday, President and I were on a WebEx meeting with Mayor Bonaguini from Gallup, along with Delegate Edmund Yazzie. We appreciate the mayor and for the leaders there wanting to strengthen relations with Navajo and to look forward to doing a lot with Mayor Bonaguini. So shout out to Mayor Bonaguini. Tomorrow, we'll be with Secretary Sonny Perdue of the United States Department of Agriculture, where we will meet on farming and agriculture, rural broadband, right? These are things that we found out in this COVID-19 pandemic that we really have need of, and it's no secret, right? But we have an opportunity to really bring great change to our nation. Yesterday, I spoke about how leaders can shape the future, and that's what we're about, and that's what we're doing. We'll be transparent about it, and we'll also be criticized about it. But we march forward, and we go forward, and so prayers for that endeavor from your nation's leaders here as well. We'll also discuss food security, right? In this pandemic, we've seen the need that our supply chain be enhanced, our supply chains be enhanced to the point where we have food security for our people here in our grocery stores and whatnot. So we'll be discussing that. We'll also have a discussion on ranches. If you're a rancher out there, we'll be discussing some programs and some opportunities for you all. Maybe there'll be some stimulus money available for ranchers and such. And also, we'll be discussing jobs. What does our job outlook look like here on Navajo? And then lastly, President mentioned we'll also be discussing with all of our federal partners. He talked about the white papers that are out there and our collaboration with our congressional delegation and our federal family. And then that's you'll continue to see us out there, if not President, then myself, talking with our nation's leaders too, eliminating and removing obstacles, right, that have been plaguing our nation over the years, the bureaucracy, the red tape, the timelines that it takes to spend money. Now we have 6 months to spend $714,189,647. And how do you do that? Well, you have to have the help of many people. So we are working on enhancing our land status here on Navajo and what federal regulations can be streamlined. And so we need you need your prayers for that, Shadine. We just talked about our economies opening up. President mentioned that we'll be, opening up our own economy, and that I'll be chairing that and heading that. And so we're very excited, and we're very confident that we can develop a plan, as we've been working on it for a while now. And it just hasn't been out there. We have not really been in the position to open up our economy, our own economy here, but we're planning that now. And as we get closer to July 27th, I feel like we'll be ready. So have been advocating for all of the businesses to be open, even our non-essentials. But, it's just really about keeping our people safe. So we've seen what opening up economies too soon looks like, right? Currently, we're working with our Department of Health, our EPI team, and others on opening measures. This will come in phases. And so it will be well thought out. It will be done in all safety and consideration of our Navajo Nation consumers and our people. We will open up and recover safely, Shedine. President mentioned our recovery team. He talked about boosting our economy. The housing and manufacturing have long been staples of the Nez Leiser administration. And retailing, as I'm a business owner, these are just things that are readily going to be enhanced kind of in behind the scenes. As he said, there's no great talk of it. There's no hyping it, but it's there and it's being done, and it is happening, and it will happen. We're forging a plan for business startups here on Navajo, collaboration with other successful entities out there, and we'll bring them in and their ideas. We are confident that we can open up safely. The President mentioned changing the laws, eliminating the bureaucracy, and making us more efficient and proficient. And so with all your help and all your prayers, I believe we can stem the tide, turn the tide in our favor here. We have such a great opportunity. We are thankful and grateful that we do have this CARES Act money to spend for you all, to bring water, to bring broadband, to bring infrastructure for economic development, more stores in our places, more grocery stores, right? We only have 13 here on Navajo, on the land that's the size of West Virginia. And when West Virginia itself, as a state, has over 164 grocery stores. So you see, we are behind the 8 ball, and but there's not much. All of our position here is upside. We have a lot of upside, and so we'll continue to work with our cabinet. We love our cabinet here, a bunch of bright minds and individuals. I said long ago that the President and I don't have all the answers, but we can bring in the smart people to help us and to tell us and show us what to do. And so lastly, I just wanted to mention all that. And a lot of times I reiterate what President has already said. But, just a recap, again, the Wood Springs 2 fire that's going on right now. 10,964 acres have burned with only 5% containment. But that's a good thing, because yesterday, as of 9:30 in the morning, it was at 0 containment. So pray for all the firefighters that are out there, all 330 of them. Pray for that, and pray for rain. If you would join me right now, I feel led to just say a prayer for moisture, for rain. Shidian God, Boho Nihi God, we come to you, Lord, with a great need, Lord Father. Lord, that you've heard the prayers of the saints, that if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, in other words, repent, then you would hear from heaven and you will come and heal the land. Father, we pray that that healing would be in rain right now, Lord. Rain would replenish, Lord Father. The fire right now is cleansing the land, but rain would replenish after that. And so we ask for that rain to put out this fire, Lord Father. And we just seek your all-knowing, ever-loving ways, Lord, that are way above ours. We don't understand sometimes as mere mortals, as mere human beings that are your creation, Lord. Father, I pray that you'll hold no good thing back from us and our people and our nation. We pray for safety and healing for our people, Lord, all across the land. Lord, touch your people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And so we thank you again, and we're grateful for you, Shedine. We pray for you nightly, daily, if not hourly, whatever we feel led to do. Just know that your nation's leaders are leading this fight with confidence and no fear. and with power. And so our power comes from the Lord. And so all good things come from above, the Father of lights. And so we thank you again. Next up, I am going to introduce Arthur Gonzalez, who is going to be giving us the update on the current situation up at the Wood Springs 2 fire. And so right now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Arthur Gonzalez, take it away, sir.
Eli, can I get a quick audio check? Are you hearing me okay?
What's that?
Yeah. Perfect.
Just checking, making sure folks can hear me before I get started.
Yeah, Arthur, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me with you all today to help share some information on the Wood Springs 2 fire. My name is Arthur Gonzalez. I'm the fire behavior analyst for the Southwest Incident Management Team 5 that is here helping to manage this fire. So my role on the team is I look at fire behavior, I study fire behavior, and I try to forecast where that fire is going to be to, try to keep our firefighters in a safe place, try to develop a plan on where the fire is going so we can develop a plan how to get out ahead of it. And really for this third piece here is to be able to provide information to the communities, to the partners. And so I appreciate the opportunity to come on and share a little information. I got a few things that I'll highlight. First of all, I want to say thanks to both the president and the vice president. You all have started on the information. So that makes my job a lot easier. And it tells me that the word is getting out. So the information that I'll provide will just support what you guys have already heard. So that's good. We're communication is happening. We're getting information out there. I'll solidify that and I'll add a few more details. So as of this morning, both president and vice president had mentioned the fire is at currently 10,694 acres. So just over 10,000 acres. And, that's just in a few days. That's a lot of growth in the last few days. One of the key things to that growth, President Nez brought up was the drought. The Fort Defiance Plateau is in the epicenter of, continued drought for the Southwest area. And so we're really seeing the impacts of that. The pine trees, don't have a lot of moisture in there. The pine litter and the juniper and the pinyon trees, just not a lot of moisture like they tend to have. So that has contributed to the large footprint. The other thing you heard was 5% containment. And so we are making progress. But I understand some folks think that, 5%, that's not a lot. Well, if you put that into contrast of, there's nearly 35 miles of perimeter on the fire as we speak. And so for 3/4 of that, in the Southwest and the East side, we've largely stopped the spread of the fire with dozer lines and roads and trails and firefighters, using hand tools. So 5% is making progress. We see better weather over the next couple of days to continue to do that. But that takes me back to the drought conditions. It takes a lot of work to really secure those lines. In some places, you're talking a hand line of 12 to 18 inches, stop a 10,000 acre fire. So there's a lot of work that goes, you don't put a line around it and walk away. We have to secure things. There's still dead logs that are burning. There's still pine litter that's burning. So that containment will gradually continue to increase. The weather over the next 3 days is going to help with that. So you heard earlier that today we are calling for a 20% chance of moisture over the area. It may or may not rain here, but what we do see when you see those clouds coming in, that means there's just more moisture in the air. And that helps to slow the fire down. That helps to make it a little more docile, not as aggressive as those first couple days with wind. We've seen that thing move 8 miles in 2 days. This atmospheric moisture, the clouds in the air, the chance for rain starts to change things. So we see 20% today, 30% tomorrow. So I join you in your prayers, and we could sure use the rain. We could sure use the moisture. That not only helps, Mother Nature and all the animals out there, but that helps us as firefighters to start to get directly around this fire. So we see that. And then starting Saturday through Tuesday, or Saturday through Monday, it's going to dry out a little bit. Not going to be nearly as dry as it was prior to, but it's going to dry out a little bit. but we're also tracking another potential chance for moisture coming back into the area on Tuesday. So we're going to have a couple of nice days, some higher moisture in the air, dry out for a few days, but then a stronger chance of moisture coming back. So we're really trying to track that and see how that's going to move towards the area. There's some goods and some bad things. If we get that moisture, it slows the fire down. You all have been in this area probably long enough that when you see it looks like it wants to rain, but it doesn't quite hit, you get a lot of wind out of there. Wind is not our friend on this fire right now. It's just so hot and dry. As the pine cones burn and the oak leaves burn, the wind lofts those things over the line. So we've had spot fires, quarter to half mile out ahead of the fire. So we don't want wind. The chance of moisture is great, but it also brings this chance of strong winds that come out of these clouds. So we're tracking that moisture. We're hoping it hits us, but we're also tracking the potential winds that come out of that. Let's see. So I talked about 5% containment with that weather coming. So we've got about three of the four sides stalled out right now where they've hit containment lines. But there's still that area west of the Road 7, north of Fluted Rock. It's that country that's in that White Rock Wash country. There's fire still moving in there. And that canyon is so big, we just don't have a good way right now to go put firefighters in there. It's still burning hot. So we're trying to develop a plan on how we corral that stuff moving in that neck of the woods. The good thing is that right now is the only active piece. The bad news is that's very rugged, very big country in there. So really looking for the best place to put our firefighters in there to try to corral this and keep this thing small to the extent possible. It's just big country. It's very hard to do. Let me see. Let me move on. So a couple more points. President Nez mentioned the communities and the surrounding areas of Fluted Rock and Sawmill remain on high alert. Like I said, with this fire moved eight miles in 2 days. So we want to make sure those folks stay aware that this fire is still active. We're starting to get a handle on some of the edges, but that still has some potential for this community. So they're still on high alert. So that if the winds come out of these clouds and it starts to move it, we have those folks ready so we can move them out of harm's way. Do want to put in a plug, plenty of information going out both to the council and then to the public as a whole. There's an updated information line that's it's updated every day. That can be reached at 505-862-9488. Once again, 505-862-9488. If you got any questions on what the condition of the fire is and how things are going, that's a place to go get information. It's updated daily. That will provide all the statistics that both the president and vice president have been sharing with you all. Great place to go get information. So those are the key things I wanted to talk about. Eli, was there any chance that you got those graphics that I sent over to you?
I have them preloaded.
Okay, sir, can you put up, let's put up the map first with the fire area. And if you could just let me know when that pops up.
You're good to go.
Okay, so if you're looking at the map here, the key thing is this is the footprint, the size of the fire, it's a long, skinny fire. So what that indicates to me as a fire behavior analyst is the wind really pushed these things for a couple days. And so it's real long and skinny. It's, like I said, it went 8 miles in 2 days. Now that the wind has stopped, we're seeing the fire move into some of these big drainages, and that's where we're focusing a lot of time and energy. So in that very northwest corner, west of Road 7, you'll see the more complex topography in there. That's the area that we're trying to focus in. That's where we got a lot of resources, and we're really trying to devise a plan to get in there and work that. The good thing about the fire slowing down, it's moving into drainages, yes, but it's slowed down enough for us to really start to identify a lot of values out there. There's a lot of sheep camps up there, and our folks have been protecting those things. There's the power line, the KV line that runs power to a lot of folks, working on protecting that. And for me specifically, I really like that we have the opportunity to try to save, as much of the pine as we can. It's a valuable resource. It's a long way to go for other pine trees when you leave the Fort Defiance Plateau. So as this fire slows down, we're able to put some things in place to really try to protect that and reduce the severity on them. Eli, if you want to show just a couple of the photos.
Go ahead, Arthur.
Okay, and I'll just go ahead and let you flip, give it about 30 seconds and flip over. So like the president and vice president said, they've met a lot of folks out on the line, over 300 folks. It takes a lot of work to put containment around a fire that's over 10,000 acres, that's nearly 35 miles long around the perimeter as a whole. So a lot of work that goes into it. So, the president and vice president seeing those folks working out on the line, the hotshot crews working out there, but it's equally as important. We've got a lot of folks behind the scenes that support them, that feed them, that provide showers and restrooms and radio communications. And so really focus on trying to keep that whole operational community and the support behind it safe with the COVID mitigations, trying to protect each other, our potential exposure to the community, and then the community's potential exposure to the team. We're doing a lot of that while those folks are out there on the ground doing that. So the photos that I had Eli showing, I had an opportunity to go out over in Division Zulu near the KB lines and work with the Navajo hotshot crew out there, the Navajo Scouts. And, just a couple photos, you can see, members of the local community here doing their part to help with this fire. And in those photos, they are using fire along a road system to try to back it in there and reduce the severity so that it runs out of fuel and we could stop the progression. So thought it would be nice to show a couple photos of those folks hard at work and contributing back to the areas that they live in. So with that, I think I covered all the key points that I wanted to share with folks. Provided that information to call for more information there. I'd love to hear that both president and vice president are sharing that information. Tells me that they're getting what they need to help inform you all. If there's more, that information can be found on that hotline that I gave you, and it's updated daily. With that, I appreciate it. Thank you for the time, and look forward to giving you guys more information as we continue to progress with the Wood Springs 2 fire. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, we appreciate that timely report. Thank you for all the update, the data. And you know what? You have a future in broadcasting, Mr. Gonzalez. So we appreciate that. And what great news. I'm thinking we all have a future in newscasting after our political careers are over, right? We want to bring up Dr. Pearl Yellman, who is standing in the wings. She's the division director for our community development. She's going to be giving and bringing you some vital updates from her division. So, Dr. Yellman, take it away. So having a little technical difficulty, but she's coming. Dr. Yellman, division.
Good morning.
There she is.
Good morning. Thank you, President and Vice President. And thank you for the opportunity to be on today's town hall meeting. Yate auto yate do here. She Pearl Yellman she auto and Schlenigi a Sena between Schlendo Tizafana Bushishkin. Toba Handa Shiche auto Hanalahne Dashanale. So just want to say thank you to our leadership, and thank you to our colleagues who are on the town hall today. I just have a few things to cover this morning, and then be happy to pass the mic along to my colleagues. Number one is the Division of Community Development has been working closely with partners such as IHS in increasing water access to impacted COVID-19 communities. And we've been working closely with the IHS, NTUA, and other members of the Water Access Group just to share some data that has, in a way, already been generated and Many of y'all know already that our median household income for the Navajo Nation is roughly around $35,000 a year, compared to the state of Arizona, which is roughly around $52,000 a year. It is also estimated that we have 37,000 people currently living without piped water on the Navajo Nation. And in terms of COVID-19, those types of numbers contribute to families that are in need of basic resources during the pandemic. With high numbers of families living without piped water, it makes it difficult to wash hands, to remain and maintain sanitation, and maintain sanitation in and around a home, or even individuals who are self-quarantining and self-monitoring. So the Division of Community Development with IHS have identified more than 50 transitional watering points to increase water access at the local 110 chapters. That is in the works. In addition to identifying these transitional watering points, water has been tested at those locations, and the quality of water and the infrastructure of those watering points will be addressed. And we're hopeful that they will be addressed in a timely manner. When you look at the opportunity or the need to address those watering points, we can then safely say that we are putting the people's safety as a priority during this time in this pandemic, and we are working hard to address the need for families without water to travel to locations for quality water. And in fact, we're trying to bring water to those families without piped water. In the meantime, while those transitional watering points are being addressed, we also have partners such as Dig Deep. We also have partners such as the City of Flagstaff, City of Gallup, who have partnered with the Division of Community Development in bringing water tanks from 5-gallon water tanks to 275-gallon water tanks to community members who are in need. So we are thankful for many partners coming together and assisting and bringing safe water to the Navajo people. In addition to those watering tanks, the Division of Community Development, along with OPVP and HCOC, we've also teamed up with CORE. As you recall, they have Mr. Sean Penn as their spokesperson, and the CEO is Ms. Ann Lee. But our community housing and infrastructure have teamed up with CORE to build a prototype of a shelter, isolation shelter, that's roughly about 8 by 12 feet. We do have staff right now who are manufacturing those prototype self-isolation shelters. We hope to, with the support of leadership, combine the shelters with the water, and then begin working with the chapters to distribute those sheltering kits out, along with the support of HCOC. So those are some things that currently we've been focusing on. In addition to focusing on the COVID-19 relief efforts, I do want to thank the ASC, Administrative Service Center within DCD, in assisting the chapters, 110 chapters, on the FEMA recovery FEMA recovery process. We have begun the FEMA recovery process. And Eli, if we can go to that page 6 on the PowerPoint. So I just want chapters to know, chapters and townships, Kayenta Township, that we're working with chapters on formulating their documents that are required for the FEMA recovery. You'll work with DCD and uploading those documents. Those documents will be reviewed for compliance. They must meet eligible FEMA requirements for reimbursement. And then the program will then do the final review and then work with the chapters in responding and reviewing all of those required documents. All 110 chapters have contributed to their community relief efforts. We're very thankful for leadership at the chapter level and the community level. We have chapter leadership at the communities who have worked with food banks, who have worked with local hay vendors, who are working with water access groups to provide services out to the communities. And so we're thankful for the chapters that have really been able to provide community relief efforts. In doing so, chapters have accumulated expenses. And that's why it's important that we work with FEMA to recover those expenses and provide some relief back onto the chapters. So we're thankful for all of the chapters who have contributed greatly to community relief efforts. When we have food distribution, those food distribution and food boxes going out to community members, the purpose of those food distribution is to help community members mobilize and stay home and stay safe, rather than increasing your risk exposure of COVID-19 at your local grocery store or even going into town. The purpose of the food distribution is to help mobilize communities. And many of the chapters have done that. Many of the chapters have assisted in mobilizing and mitigating the COVID-19 relief efforts. Whereas, had those not been done, we could have put many people at risk by elders and family members and multi-generational numbers and families traveling off the reservation. So by 110 chapters contributing to food distribution, we contribute and do our part by mitigating movement. And that's the purpose of distributing food. So I extend my appreciation to chapters and chapter officials and chapter staff who have assisted during that time. So look to staff and look to DCD and chapters working collaboratively with FEMA on the FEMA recovery. Lastly, I just want to add that the Division of Community Development has been working closely with the OPVP and other colleagues and divisions on the nation's reopening. That's a major task. As you know, we have extended the reopening date. And as such, we are taking precautionary measures heavily, and it's our responsibility to address the reopening. And DCD is taking that responsibility and those duties heavily. We will be drafting, or we are working on drafting, and we will be sending out reopening guidelines to the 110 chapters and Kayenta Township shortly. And they will be guidelines used for and recommendations for the 110 chapters. Again, they're guidelines and recommendations. The Division of Community Development and many other divisions throughout Navajo Nation have been addressing reopening and reopening phases for both direct services and indirect services to the Navajo people. And that includes the Division of Community Development. Some of our direct services include rural addressing and HIP, CPMD, capital outlay projects. Some of those are direct services. IT are direct services that we perform or provide to the Navajo people. And in some way, those have been changed post-COVID, how we deliver those services. So it's important that we take reopening seriously and with a heavy responsibility. Before I close and turn the time over to Dr. Jim, I just want to remind friends, family, and relatives that we're coming upon an important weekend where traditionally we would be celebrating a sense of independence and the 4th of July weekend. And although we can continue to appreciate the independence of what we have on this nation, we still are within the boundaries of the pandemic and within the boundaries of the public health orders. And those public health orders are measures put in place for our safety. And I encourage all of us and our relatives to adhere to the public health orders and to the stay at home and stay in shelter orders as well. It is for our safety, and it is also for our well-being. We've gone on more than 100 days of fighting COVID, and it has been emotionally draining and mentally draining on many of our communities and families. But please provide relief for your family and for your neighbors. Please check on elders. Please check on animals and livestock. With the current weather conditions, can be tough on our livestock and our animals. So please check and do your community part in checking on elders, families, neighbors, and livestock. Those are all important elements and important to us as the Net people. Continue to look out for elders, continue to look out for one another. By now, after 100 days of COVID, by now we know to not enter stores without masks or even gloves. We still have community members who may be in need of gloves or masks. And if you see that, especially among our elders, reach out to them, be able to provide some type of an additional mask to elders. And that's how we can look out for each other. We can also look out for each other by checking and calling on our family members. We also can look out for each other by providing some needed resources to one another. So that's how we get through this. That's how we overcome this. We overcome this by working together. We also overcome this by being community leaders and looking out for our first responders and our police officers. May have been mentioned earlier that we're more than 9 57-hour lockdowns now. That has taken a tremendous toll on our police officers and our frontline staff. So as community leaders, continue to extend gratitude and support to our medical and police officers and first responders. So I'll wrap it up there. Again, chapters, Navajo Nation chapters, we are in the FEMA recovery phase. we are in the FEMA recovery time frame. We also are working with the Navajo Nation Water Access Group to address water needs throughout the Navajo Nation and to the 110 chapters. Also, we have our IT department working closely with the 110 chapters and have identified the resources needed to provide updated Wi-Fi services. And we'll hear a little bit more from our IT department on those specific details of Wi-Fi, and as we continue to expand our opportunities to address the broadband capacity as well. And our IT, our broadband, and in addition to the sheltering kits, complete with the water storage tanks as well. Those are some things DCD is working on with CORE and IHS. So I'll leave it there. I am grateful for this opportunity, grateful for our leadership that we have on the Navajo Nation. President Nesdo, Vice President Leiser, and our colleagues. Lastly, please look at Division of Community Development website. We have grant resources daily. We have a resource page that could be useful to members of your community. We also have daily COVID updates. And then we have information related to the food distribution and to the water distribution. Look for additional information coming forward as well on the Division of Community website. So, take care of yourselves. We need you strong. We need community members strong and healthy. And we need our nation to overcome this. So, I'd like to call on Dr. Jill Jim from the Health Command Center. So Dr. Jill Jim, if you're there, I'll be turning the mic over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yellowman, for that introduction. I just want to transition over to the Navajo Department of Health and also the Health Command Center report for today. I just want to encourage everyone to continue to stay safe, stay home, and shelter in place. And as a reminder, the lockdown is in effect as of today and will be initiated tomorrow, actually, going into the weekend. So ensure that you follow the public health emergency order. This is no time to escape the Navajo Nation, just so that you can access food or resources or entertainment. I think the purpose of the lockdowns is definitely to shelter in place and stay at home so you can further reduce the spread of COVID-19. Some of the essential businesses that we consider on the Navajo Nation are closed this weekend, as President said. For those visitors that are wanting to come onto the Navajo Nation, make sure you gas up and get food if you're traveling through the Navajo Nation. This includes all stores, gas stations, restaurants, drive-through food establishments will all be closed. Also, individuals are not required to remain indoors during the entire weekend lockdown. You're encouraged to stay within your homestead or at least about 5 miles within distance to tend to your farming or either your livestock as well. So plan ahead and purchase any items that you need for the weekend. Essential basic needs are food, water, maybe food for your livestock as well. So just as a reminder to everyone, the purpose of the lockdowns is not finding a way to escape the Navajo Nation to tend to your personal business. As far as we're all concerned, we're all contributing to the reduction of COVID-19. So we need to take on that responsibility to make sure that we stay at home. Other happenings around the Navajo Nation is the smoke advisory that we issued a couple of days ago. The fire is in the Wood Springs area. Just as a reminder that all residents should take precaution to protect their health from the wildfire smoke. Individuals living in the area, just make sure that you reduce outdoor exercise or choose less intense activities. Keep windows and doors closed. If you experience breathing issues, go to the nearest health facility, as well as preparing for an evacuation as well. Make sure you have a family plan in place, including your livestock. Make sure you have plans for any evacuation for that as well. And any plan that you need to have for any fire evacuation, you should just also have at least some supplies, food or medications that you might need in case you have to evacuate. Also, having a 3-day supply for food and water as well. Those that are living in the areas of the smoke, you're definitely more at increased risk for COVID-19 and other respiratory infections as well. So just be cautious. You will experience coughing, dry, scratched throat, irritated sinuses, and eyes and airways. And if you're living in the area of where you see or smell smoke as well. So individuals at risk for being impacted by smoke are those that are pregnant, children, those with underlying health conditions as well are at higher risk of being affected by wildfire smoke. So just to keep that in mind as a precaution as well. Also wanted to share some information for the slides from the Public Health Command Center here. And I just wanted to share with everyone the presentation here on 4th of July, as Dr. Yoloman mentioned. I know we want to celebrate the 4th of July and our independence, but I'm sure you want to avoid large gatherings to help stop the spread as well. Here you can see that we need to protect our elders and people with underlying health conditions. Possibly not even visiting at all could be an option this weekend, and safely celebrating with your immediate family. Continue to take the precaution of washing your hands, and often with soap and water when you are with family during the weekend and every day. Sanitizing, discouraging handshaking and hugging as usual to address social distancing. Also avoid sharing food with people you do not live with. Drink plenty of water as well. And then just as a reminder that open fires and fireworks are prohibited on the Navajo Nation. Other areas that we come to hear about here at the command center is just avoiding having family visitors at home. And I think this has been a topic for some people and friends or families that have been impacted by COVID-19. I think it's more serious. So we just want to give out some tips to individuals that want to have no visitors. Make and post a sign on your door or at the entrance of your homestead that you're not allowing visitors. Let visitors know you prefer a phone call instead. Notify visitors that they can leave mail or supplies such as care packages outside by the door. Let visitors know they should wear a mask at all times when delivering items. Also, family members or others should not visit anyone when they're showing symptoms of COVID-19, that they have traveled in hotspot areas or they had close contact with a positive COVID-19 person. So just a friendly reminder to everyone, just to think twice when you want to visit someone, possibly only for emergency situations as well. And also individuals that are denied going into the home, just don't be offended by it. Just know that we're definitely just protecting ourselves, and whoever you're visiting is very important. The next item is just the first of the month that the Division of Economic Development always puts together in relation to helping elders get food that they need. So when you're out and about today or anytime, this will apply. Together we can protect our Che and Masana and anyone older than 65 years old, especially if they have underlying health conditions, are at very high risk. And so the first of the month is already here. So as I said, when you're round and about at the store and you see your Arche and Basana, ask if they need helping hand with errands, chores, or essential shopping. If you see them alone, if you see an elder shopping, let them go first in line. Offer to clean and disinfect their shopping carts, help them clean their groceries after shopping as a family member, and then continue to check on elders in your community, but with social distancing or just like a phone call, like I mentioned. And then the hand sanitizer safety is always very important. That CDC recommends washing hands with soap and water whenever possible, but if soap and water are not available, use hand sanitizer with at least 60%. And we have had issues here in the Navajo Nation and nationwide where there has been cases of hospitalizations for hand sanitizer ingestion and some fatalities. So we just want to remind individuals of hand sanitizer safety, preferably just recognizing that only use hand sanitizer on your hands. Swallowing alcohol-based hand sanitizer can cause alcohol poisoning. Hand sanitizer should be stored out of reach of children and should be used with adult supervision. Keep sanitizer away from fire or flames. Read the label. Do not use your hand sanitizer that contains methanol, a substance that can be toxic when absorbed through the skin or ingested. Do not use hand sanitizer if hands are visibly dirty or greasy. Wash hands instead if water and soap are available. And so there is a FDA approved, non-approved list, I guess, warning of hand sanitizers across the United States. So just hopefully we can share that in the future, but just to let you know, there are precautions being taken not only here, but everywhere else. And so if there's any exposure to hand sanitizer containing methanol, you should be able to seek immediate treatment as well. Some exposures to the methanol exposure are nausea, vomiting, headache, blurred vision, permanent blindness, seizures, coma, permanent damage to the nervous system, or death. So just as a reminder, even though we encourage safe hand washing and soap water and as a preferred method, there are still hand sanitizers that can help prevent COVID-19, but hopefully we can use water and soap as a preferred method. Also, as a reminder, if you or someone you know needs help dealing with stress or the emotional effects of COVID-19, this is a phone number that you can use as reaching out to the Navajo Regional Behavioral Health Center at 505-368-1438 or either 505-368-1467. And also there's some after-hour numbers for Chinle, Dilcon, Farmington areas, and Red Mesa as well. So those are just a quick reminder as we're dealing with COVID-19, and I know that our new normal is very different than before. As we are coming into this weekend is very important. I think some of the expectations across the United States is that people are going to gather and celebrate 4th of July, but I think it's very important that we all take individual responsibility to stay home and think about the safety of your family members and everyone else, including your community members and other relatives across the Navajo Nation. So I just want to quickly make that message again. And I just want to say thank you for the listeners. I apologize for not saying this in Navajo. I hope you can translate some of this information to your elders and parents and everywhere else. So have a safe weekend. Stay home, shelter in place, and spend time around your home cleaning and tending to your home. So I just want to appreciate everyone's time and effort in preventing COVID-19 every single day. Thank you.